What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Again, I'm going to talk a bit more about the Senate races because since last time I really talked about specific races, a few things have happened. Herschel Walker has announced, and Adam Laxalt has announced, and there are no good news for Republicans in Arizona. But we do have a bit more polls from the future 2022 Senate elections. So, of course, this one, which is I guess one of the more positive ones for Republicans, it is really going to be all about turnout, so I don't think that polls really matter in Georgia. In Nevada, however, it is looking very promising, as this one poll has Adam Laxalt 10 points ahead of Catherine Cortez Masto. Meanwhile, no candidate seems to have anything near a good showing in Arizona, where Mark Kelly is outpolling really everyone. So that one is still looking like a more and more likely Democratic hold. And of course you have Pennsylvania, which is a big one, maybe the most important one. Sean Parnell has announced, and he has gotten the Trump endorsement, that's new from last time. And the Democrats are going to have a tough primary between Conor Lamb and John Fetterman. Both of which are, I would say, decent candidates. I mean that John Fetterman is doing very well in the polls, but I think that optics are against him and that Conor Lamb really looks much more like a gentleman and a senator. So we'll see how this one develops. But what I really want to look at today, so this has nothing to do with the 2022 Senate elections, or almost nothing. This is the same class, Senate Class 3, so it's the same Senate seats, but in 2004. Now, a lot of things are different. You are seeing what is Arkansas and North Dakota blue, and yes, they are safe blue. Kentucky or Colorado, South Dakota toss-ups, and otherwise there are a few ratings. So a lot has changed. Pennsylvania and New Hampshire were safe are, as was Georgia and Arizona with John McCain. And this election, the Republicans actually flipped 5 southern seats, and they netted 4 total because the Democrats also gained 2, and the Republicans defeated the Democratic leader in South Dakota. So, going on to 2010, things are a bit more recognizable. Very much more red, almost no blue in the middle of the country. No blue, actually, in the middle of the country. So, thinking that Illinois was a toss-up back in 2010. That's, yeah, you can imagine that Colorado was, but Illinois. And also the West Coast is not that blue. But in 2010, the Republicans started with 3 pickups that were foregone conclusions. And those were North Dakota, Indiana, and Arkansas, where they actually defeated an incumbent by an incredible amount due to Obama's unpopularity. But Marco Rubio became quite safe in Florida when he had the 2 opponents, and Republicans actually won in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was, of course, this was Pat Toomey's first win statewide there. So I would like you to pay attention, especially to how Arizona and Georgia at this point are still safe. In 2016, it is much of the same. Georgia is still safe because it has Johnny Isakson, who is undefeatable, and you have Arizona with John McCain, who had a bigger challenge back then, but he was not really in danger. So in 2016, again, Indiana was a toss-up. Pennsylvania, of course, was a toss-up, as was North Carolina. Missouri may be a bit more of a surprise, but Roy Blunt, being an establishment neocon, was challenged by a sort of Trumpian Democrat in Jason Kander. And Illinois and Wisconsin leaned blue on most ratings. Yes. Looking back, that can be quite surprising, knowing that Ron Johnson won by like 5 points, while Mark Kirk lost by 15. But that was how ratings were for the most time. And going to Indiana, which is also probably a surprise, the Democrat there, Evan Bayh, actually led in the polls for quite long, but in the end, Todd Young took the lead. But still, Georgia is safe Republican, thanks to Johnny Isakson. Even though Trump won the seat by only 5, at the Senate level it was safe. Rubio. Trump won Florida by 1.5. At the Senate level Rubio was almost safe too. And it was really the first time in a very long time when Nevada was a big contentious state due to the retirement of Harry Reid. And of course, previous battlegrounds, like in 2004, Kentucky was a battleground. In 2010, Republicans flipped states like Arkansas and North Dakota. All of those are now in the safe Republican column. And the country is becoming a bit more polarized. But now we go to now or next year, 2022. Suddenly, Arizona and Georgia are no longer red. Now this is just a summary of current predicting. I know that you could argue that Nevada should be lean blue, New Hampshire and Georgia should be lean blue, and Wisconsin should be lean red, but I wanted to expand it with having a few more toss-ups in the states where that makes sense. You could also argue that North Carolina should be a toss-up, and I believe it probably will be. But looking at where we are now in Arizona, the Democrats seem to be very favored. They have a huge advantage in the suburbs that they did not have 6 years ago, and especially not before that. In Georgia, the Republicans have gained control of the countryside, but they have lost so much ground in the suburbs that the Democrats might even have a small edge there. And of course you have Wisconsin, where you don't know if the incumbent is going to retire. Same thing with Iowa, but for now it's going to be safe. And you do have states like Ohio and Missouri, where there is sort of a disappointing group of Republicans that are appearing, so those are also not safe. New Hampshire, Chris Sununu seems to be polling quite well against Maggie Hassan, so that's a toss-up. Nevada, Adam Laxalt is polling ahead of Catherine Cortez Masto so early on, so that's a toss-up. And I think that was it, yeah. So the total and complete trend is a bit of a mixed image. You know, back in 2004, Wisconsin was safe D, Pennsylvania was safe R, and in general the states of Georgia and Arizona have moved significantly to the Democrats, even though before 2004 there was a Democratic senator from Georgia who won not thanks to margins in the suburbs, but thanks to the countryside. He was a typical Southern Democrat. But I'm also really excited by signs of competitive races, or even races where Republicans are favored in New Hampshire and Nevada, which I believe are going to be very contentious in the 2022 cycle. Not just because Republicans are likely to field very good candidates, but because it is going to be a year where the Democrats are on the defense, like they were in 2010. And if you compare it with 2016, we do know that the Democrats are going to be defending more seats. Back then they were defending really only Nevada. Now they are going to be defending at least 4 high-profile seats. Maybe even more. You never know. But if you are looking for a prediction right now, I really don't have a final prediction that I would like to stand behind. It's just way too early, but you can take this into account. I believe that the Democrats are favored in Arizona, and that you otherwise have these 5 states, probably plus North Carolina, where it is going to be very, very competitive and tough Senate races. So that's really the bottom line. I would draw this early in the campaign, of course. Still more than a year to go. But anyway, that's all I had for you guys today. Please like this video, please subscribe and share, that helps me a lot. Thanks for now, and I'll see you next time.